Rudolf Schenker heard Stairway to Heaven. He listened to Stairway to Heaven. Michael Schenker was auditioning for a new vocalist. Rudolf goes, Michael, the singer, you should have the singer. And Michael said, he refused to join me 4 years ago when he was singing with Grand Prix. I asked him to join and he goes, no, I can't. I have to do something else.
So, hello guys, you're from the Alma Hard channel. Here today you have a very important invitation. Here we have Robin McAuley with us. So, how are you, Robin?
Good morning, Brazil. I am very well, thank you. And thanks for having me. Good to see you guys.
So, my name is Nathalia. I am from the Rock Maker channel. So, here we make questions for you. Sorry, Robin. So a little bit questions here. So I hope you like it and you're welcome. Okay.
So if I don't like it, I don't answer.
Okay.
All right.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
So okay. Here this year on 11th, we have another Hard and Heavy Fest here edition. Here it happens in São Paulo, I think, and. So we would like to talk about a little bit about this. So what are your expectations for this, for the concert, for this?
So I'm very excited because it will be my first time in Brazil. Taken many years, but finally. So on May 11th, I'm coming down to do the show. I think John Karabi is also on the bill. Jez Kane and Eric Martinson. So, and I worked with John. I've known John for many, many years. In November, we did a show in Scotland, Winter Storm, and Jez Kane was on the bill. She's amazing live. And last year, also with Michael Schenker, we played Sweden Rock, and Eclipse were on the bill, and they're fantastic live. And Eric's a great singer. So. It's going to be awesome. Really looking forward to it.
Thank you. So
yeah, I just plugged everybody right there.
Yes, I sure you have you are very famous. So you have played with a lot of artists here.
Talk about your extensive career, Robin. One of the biggest surprises in recent years is the Black Swan. Yeah.
Yes.
The two albums that you recorded was practically so similar, both. Yes, so good. In show the best before the partnership.
Yeah. Well, of course. We are already writing Black Swan #3. So we're working on that right now. Of course, Jeff Pilson, bass player, songwriter, singer, magician. Jeff, of course, is touring with Foreigner. So and Reb, of course, Winger. So they take whatever time is available, write the music. They send me the music, and Matt Starr on drums, of course. So it's a process because it's very difficult to make the time to get together, but we make it work, and we plan a tight schedule for when Jeff is back in town because I record at his studio. So they send me the songs, I write, I demo everything, send it back to them. They make their comments, and then we have to decide when everybody is in the same place at the same time, and then we make it happen. It's not easy, but we love what Black Swan does. It's a great sound. Reb is he's such a great guitar player. I love his sense of melody. Jeff he's a magician. He's amazing. The studio, and I'm surprised sometimes we actually get so much work done because we have way too much fun. But it's a great work ethic, and we really dig into the songs, and it's funny because there's so many bands, but I think Black Swan has a sound that's very very individualized to the Black Swan sound, and I like it. I have a lot of fun doing it. Yeah, it's a shame we don't. It's a shame we don't get to play live, but the schedules are too crazy, you know. And maybe one day.
Yeah. The Shake the World, the first album in that time, and the time that was released, I thought was 2020. It was the best albums of the year, I think. It's like
thank you. Thank you. We were very excited about it. We had a great time writing that record, and it just seemed to, the sound was right. We released it, and when it came to Generation Mind, the second record, we're going, you know, it needs to be a little bit different but better, and so that's always the challenge. But you know, those two guys, Jeff and Reb, they're such great musicians that the music comes, and you know, it's the combination of everything. It's just the sound. It's, you know, it's what I do against what they do, and it seems to work. So, you know, it's not as easy as I make it sound, but it works.
We have some names for the album, all right?
No, not yet.
No,
it's still early in the writing, and I'm also working on my third solo record, also at the same time. So it's crazy.
Yeah. You already released by the Frontiers the Alive, and the later.
Alive, yes. And now another one coming. One more. Yeah.
One more great album.
Thank you. We will when I come to Brazil, we will play some songs from Alive and also from Standing on the Edge. Yeah. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. So talking about your extensive career, something that I was talking about with a friend yesterday, a big friend of mine. He's a singer too here in my city where I live. And when he listened to your voice, he said, "Oh my God, what this voice, this big voice is." So he didn't know about you, and I introduced you to him. And the song "Anytime," it's very similar like Led Zeppelin song. So can you talk a little bit about your influences?
Well, you mentioned Ireland. So I was born and raised in Ireland till I was maybe 20 years of age. So I was a big Thin Lizzy fan. I saw Thin Lizzy when I was 12, and maybe 20 people watching them. Nobody. So Thin Lizzy were new. They were fresh. I saw the original lineup with Phil Lynott, Brian Downey playing drums, and Eric Bell, the original guitar player. And they just released an old Rebel song called "Whiskey in the Jar," which was their first. It was their first single. The problem with rock music in Ireland in those days, you couldn't hear rock music on daytime radio because it was nobody played rock music on daytime radio. So you would have to wait till nighttime to tune into stations that were outside of the country to listen to rock music. So it was if you like rock music, you did not hear it on Irish daytime radio. You know, you had to go to maybe the BBC or Radio Luxembourg late at night to hear these other stations. But anyway, I also I grew up really, for the most part, listening to Motown. I'm a big Motown fan. I love Motown. I was very influenced by the Four Tops, by the Temptations, the Drifters, the Shy-Lights, the Platters, and I just loved the sense of melody. And my early days, I was playing drums. I had no interest at all. I didn't want to be a singer. I didn't think about singing. I used to do some background vocals, and I thought, this is good. I can be back here playing, and nobody can see me, and I can sing backup vocals. And I wasn't a very good drummer, but I enjoyed it anyway. And then one day I discovered Free, and I heard Paul Rodgers singing, and I went, "Oh my God!" You know, and this white guy is singing with so much soul in his voice, and I went, "Oh man, this is great." I started listening to more Free, and there was times that it was a little too bluesy for me, but Paul Rodgers' voice was the pinnacle. And so I used to have this idea in my mind, oh my God, if I could sing, I would really love to be able to sing like that. And then on a different level, I was also a huge Early Faces fan. I loved all of the Early Faces with Rod Stewart, and I just loved that dirty, raspy rock and roll sound. Yeah. And I just really liked it. And then I discovered that when I started to sing, I had a raspy voice. It wasn't something that I had to work on. It was just there. Certain parts of my range would be really clean, and then when I decide to change gears, my voice got really raspy, and people would say to me, "How do you do that?" And I'm going, "I'm not doing anything. This is what it sounds like." And I really didn't. I had no desire, no aspirations to be a singer. It just it happened when I moved to London. I was in London, and I think I had my first alcoholic drink when I was 20. When I was 20, which I was a late bloomer, and I was in a local pub in London, and somebody was chatting, and suddenly I find myself, I'm on stage with this local band singing. No idea what I was doing. No idea. And I must have been drunk. One drink, I was drunk.
Did you take your life?
I was crazy. And I think a week or 2 weeks afterwards, the keyboard player came to me and he said, "Hey, our singer is leaving. You want to come sing with the band?" And I said, "Oh, I don't sing." And he goes, "No, you do." And I went, "No, I don't sing. But if you need a drummer." And so long story short, I rehearsed with the band, and before you know it, I'm now singing that I never wanted to do. I'm singing like top 40 material. I did that for about 2 years, and then I got an offer to join Grand Prix. So I was with Grand Prix, and then Grand Prix into MSG, and yada 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 yada. And anytime was a very successful single for us. I remember the keyboard player, Steve Mann, he said, "Hey, have a listen to the music and see what you think." And I listened to it and I went, "Oh my God, this is great." I started writing a melody and a lyric. And then I got together with Steve in the studio. And when I started to sing, Steve says, no, stop. This is all wrong. You're coming in too early. You don't come in so early. You don't come in till this part of the song. And I said, "That's not how I hear it." And he goes, "Let me listen again." And so the arrangement for him, how he wrote the music and how I was singing it, was completely the wrong way around. And then the more he heard it, he goes, "Oh my God, this is great. I would never have thought of that." And that's how the song came about. The song was a mistake. It was a mistake because I started singing too early, and then he said, "I really like this. Let's keep this." Yeah. So, blah blah blah. You know. Yeah.
I need to make a confession to you, Robin. My first contact with your voice was in a version of the I Want It All in a Queen tribute, Dragon Attack.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. In my opinion, is the better than the original version.
Oh my God.
And you have the gift to recording the songs that make them better than the original. Yeah, I thought the Starway to Heaven, Fire and Water, etc.
Thank you. What's really important for me, I did right up to COVID, the pandemic, I worked a classic rock show in Las Vegas called Raiding the Rock Vault, and I performed in 7 years with that show about 1,500 shows, and that show basically was centered around people like myself, singers, musicians, who had toured, traveled, and recorded. So the basis of the show was 60s, 70s, and 80s music. So we would pick, it was a 2-hour show. We had maybe 30, 40 songs, 4 singers. And what we did was we would reproduce these big, big hits. And to answer your question, one of the most important directions in the show was to always maintain the integrity of how the song was recorded. And that was really important. So when I do a cover, no matter what it is, I think it's very important for me. And I think it's important for the listener not to completely do your version of it, but to keep the integrity of the song so that when people are listening to it, they go, oh, that sounds like shit. What did he do to the song? Or go, wow, this is a really good version. And that's always been important to me because I don't know if you know, but when I was living in London and before I joined Michael Schenker, myself and the great Bobby Kimball from Toto, who I'll see tomorrow. I will see Bobby tomorrow, actually. It's his birthday. Happy birthday, Bobby Kimball. You're right. Bobby and I were asked to re-record Stairway to Heaven.
Yes.
And we re-recorded Stairway to Heaven with Far Corporation. And that was very important that we tried to keep the integrity of the song. And the very first TV show we did in Berlin, in Germany, Robert Plant was on the same show, and it was scary because he's like, "That's my song," and it was a huge hit. It was a huge hit. It was top 10 in the UK. I think it sold over 2 million singles only in the UK, and we didn't want to record that song. We went, no, you can't do this. This is Led Zeppelin. It's like not allowed. But it turned out great. It turned out really good. And again, to answer your question, when I re-record a cover, I try to at least make it sound a little bit like the original. So anyway, I've stopped talking now.
Something I would like to ask you about the Far Corporation, because your re-recording of Led Zeppelin songs from Stairway to Heaven, do you think that was when the spotlight showed you to the world? Probably. We had some good localized hits with Grand Prix, and then Far Corporation came next, and we had a lot of exposure with Far Corporation because we did so much TV. I mean, so much TV. The very first time Stairway to Heaven was on TV, again with Robert Plant, we had just on that one night in one of the most popular TV shows in Germany at the time, we had 58 million viewers. So the exposure just in one show, and we did so many shows after that. So you're right. It was probably the biggest exposure I ever had. And so many years later, when I joined Survivor, I was only singing with Survivor for maybe 1 month, and we were asked to do with the Dancing with the Stars, which was huge. And I always remember that we're at the CBS studios in Hollywood, and we're in like Studio B or Studio A, and across the hallway was American Idol. And I remember when we performed Eye of the Tiger on Dancing with the Stars, we pushed American Idol out of the #1 slot, and we had about
80 million viewers just on that one night. So when you do those kind of shows, the exposure, you can't find that kind of exposure anywhere else. Not even a show, unless you play 100 live shows, you know. And even then, you'd have to be playing stadiums to get that many viewers at the same time. So, you know, it's you know how it is. It's like you have a record, and if nobody sees it and nobody hears it, nobody knows about it. But if you play live, and the more people you play live, the more people know about it. So it's that same effect. We should only do TV shows.
So I think Leandro has the same question as me about Survivor. I have one about the Far Corporation too, and another question is for Survivor. How was your time on Survivor? Do you think they needed to release an album with that lineup band, something like this?
We did write a bunch of material that's still there. It never got used. As time went on, I was with Survivor for I think 6 years, and we played live. But I loved the Survivor music, classic, great songs. They just didn't work very much. They didn't work very much, and I like to work, and we would only work at weekends. And I think Survivor should have been much bigger than Survivor was. But the songs are huge.
Yeah.
The top, I think 10 top 10 singles, you know. In actual fact, here in the US, Nissan car makers now are using Eye of the Tiger for a commercial, and it's like all the time. So it's amazing how many years that song is still so popular with everybody. It's instant. You hear it, you go, oh, Survivor, you know. The fact that they don't play so much live is completely superseded by the fact that their singles get so much exposure. So yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing how the machine works, you know.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you worked with one of my I'm a big fan of Toto. I'm a Toto fan. So Leandro knows I'm very fan of them. So you mentioned, and yesterday I was listening to your album for Corporation. The album is Division 1, and you worked with Bob Kimball and Steve Lukather too, and David Page.
Yes.
So that was, I have to say, it's an amazing album. It's okay, and congratulations, it's perfect. Because it's like a mix of it have identity of you and identity of each other of the Total members. Like you have, when you listen, you can see the polite songs like from Page, because these are very polite. You are polite too, and you can see the hard sessions with Steve Lukather. I think that's an amazing album. It's a perfect mix
and what didn't happen at the time, it happened later. Of course, Simon Phillips was then also involved on the second record with Far Corporation and Solitude record, and of course years later Simon went on to join Toto. So again, it's that sort of it's oops, excuse me. It's funny how stuff happens, you know.
Yes, that album is very mixed, and it's fantastic. It's a fantastic album, but I would like to know how it was working with these biggest names like Lukather, like Bob Kimball, how it was, because it's incredible.
Well, again, most of the time we didn't actually see each other because the studio was in Frankfurt, in Germany, and I a short story. I was in Germany. I was in Germany with a different project, and again, there's a strange irony. The bass player was Chris Glenn from Alex Harvey Band and Michael Schenker Group. The drummer was Phil Filthy Taylor from Motorhead, right? And the guitar player Brian Robertson from Thin Lizzy, now with Motorhead, and now Brian and filthy left Motorhead, joined Chris Glenn on bass, myself on vocals. We're in Frankfurt, Germany. We are writing and recording some new songs. And the producer of Far Corporation, Frank Farian, heard some of the tracks and he goes, who's the singer? I think I have to have him in the studio. And so I got invited to the studio and he said, okay, we're going to sing Stairway to Heaven. And I went, no, we can't we can't do that. And he goes, no, I know what I'm doing. We will record it. So he said, I just want you to sing this part of the song, and then somebody else will sing the next part. And I went, that's a strange way to do it. And so I recorded my section of the song, and right before we started to do some TV work is when I met Bobby Kimball. And Bobby looked at me and he goes, hey, you're that guy. And I said, and you're that guy. And of course, David Page and Steve Lukather came in and played all of their parts. And suddenly we have this big record. Yes. And we really had no idea what was going to happen, because we're thinking it was like something new. It was all a little bit crazy how it was done, and we didn't really think too much about it. The producer, I remember, said to me, oh, great, thanks, this is great, this sounds wonderful. Would you be available if I needed you from TV work, which was months down the road? And I went, yeah, sure, whatever. And off I went. Didn't think any more about it. I recorded it, I left it, it was done. And suddenly I get the call to do the studio work or do the TV work, and then bam, it's just kept going, and more TV and more TV and more TV. And the song was on the radio 24 hours a day, and then Rudolf Schenker heard Stairway to Heaven. He listened to Stairway to Heaven. Michael Schenker was auditioning for a new vocalist. Rudolf goes, Michael, the singer, you should have this singer. And Michael said, he refused to join me 4 years ago when he was singing with Grand Prix. I asked him to join and he goes, no, I can't. I have to do something else. Yeah, so Rudolf says, I think we should find where he is. And so I was doing some promotion in the UK for Far Corporation, and I get a call. Hi, this is from Michael Schenker Group. Can you come to the studio? And I went, no, I'm too busy. Come to the studio. and they kept calling, and they went to the record label and they found out my schedule, and they said, so we know this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday you're not working. Can you come to Germany? And that's how it happened with Michael. I spent a weekend at Rudolph's studio. I think I was the last singer of 17. I was the last of 17 being auditioned. And about a week later, Klaus Meine, Rudolf Schenker, the management company, had all listened to all 17 singers. And then I had a call, hey, you want to join Michael Schenker Group? And then Michael called me, and Michael said, I have a great idea. Because your last name has the initial M, I want to change the name of the band. And I said, I think that's a terrible idea. I think it's a terrible idea. I love the MSG logo. It's been one of my favorite logos. I said, Michael Schenker Group is established. You shouldn't change it because it works. And he goes, no, I need a partner. And, you know, it was the same when I was in UFO, Phil Mogg, M for Mogg. And you have M for McAuley. I have M for Michael. So you can keep the M, and I'm okay. I'm okay with that. And that's how that happened. It's all weird. It's all very weird.
So yeah. It's about your participation in the Michael Schenker Fest. Is there any possibility of recording a new album as McAuley Schenker Group again?
The big question. That would really be a question for Michael. You know, when we played Schenker Fest, we did some McAuley Schenker songs in there, like Save Yourself, This Is My Heart, Anytime, That Was Not a Game, that sort of stuff. I don't know. I don't know. There is. Everybody asks the question. Michael is celebrating 50 years of Michael Schenker in music. There is a new record. I think he just recorded 3 records. I think he did. I think he did it like a tribute to UFO. There's a new MSG record. I have festivals coming up. We will play Sweden Rock, Barcelona Rock, Hungary. Coming up in June and July and August. I don't know. It would be fun. It would be something new, something extra to do as McAuley Schenker Group, because Michael Schenker Group continues to work. But when I come to Brazil in May, we will be performing a lot of McAuley Schenker Group songs.
Oh, yeah.
So
for the hard rock fans, I think that MSG is emblematic about your career. I think, yeah.
Yeah. So we have there's a lot of McAuley Schenker Group songs. Yes.
Yeah. Talk about the MSG. The later MSG before you win is different. It's a heavy rock. Then you in the band. It's more radiophonic. It's more melodic rock. That sonority, you with Michael decided, or was the company, was the sound that was playing in the radio?
When I joined Michael, obviously I had a history with Far Corporation that was successful at radio. Grand Prix had some singles that were successful at radio. So there was always the commercial edge. So when I was asked to join Michael, the plan of the record label and the plan of the management company was to really introduce Michael to the American market and to American rock radio. And of course, you had Bon Jovi and Warrant and Whitesnake, Scorpions, Slaughter, Winger, Poison, Rat. Everybody is going crazy at radio, and they really pressured us to write songs that would be more suited to daytime rock radio in the US. And so when we released Perfect Timing, we had Andy Johns, God rest his soul, who had huge hits at radio. And so they wanted that commercial edge. And that was difficult because, we were expected to be a Def Leppard, to be a Whitesnake, to be a Bon Jovi, to be, So we wrote Perfect Timing, and suddenly Michael Schenker is now on MTV, which had never happened before, right? And of course they wanted to keep that going, and that was the formula. And Michael and I didn't sit down and go, okay, we have to write a hit song. It doesn't work like that. The music comes out, you work it. And a lot of people complained that it was Michael Schenker had become too commercial, and it was my fault. And they were going, this singer is terrible. He shouldn't be singing. He completely ruined Michael Schenker. And it's not MSG anymore. And oh my God, what just happened? And so that there was this and there was this. And for me, I used to say, I didn't write the music. Michael wrote the music. I wrote the melodies and I wrote the lyrics. And it's that combination that created that McAuley Schenker sound. And then it's out of your control. I like melody. I love big, powerful choruses. That's just how I write. And I was bouncing what I was doing off Michael's music. And I thought the combination was great. I thought it worked really, really good. It was powerful. Sounds great live. And so when we would do the Schenker Fest, people would complain, how come there's no McAuley Schenker Group? and you know, at least if nothing else, people talk about it, right? And as long as people are talking about it, there's interest. So you just have to leave it to the gods. The gods.
For me, the best albums was with you. The best albums, they Say Yourself, the self-titled.
Well, thank you. But if you were a really hardcore guitarist, lover, Schenker fan, then I can understand that you would hate what I did. I would hate because it's not what they wanted to hear. When I do Michael Schenker shows, like we just been doing for a lot of last year, there's no McAuley Schenker Group songs in the set. And we do an hour and a half, almost 2 hour show of all of the Michael Schenker Group songs. And everybody goes, this sounds better than anything. This sounds great. And so I'm singing Gary songs and I'm singing Graham Bonnet songs, and everybody is fine. Everybody is really fine with that. But if I sing a McAuley Schenker Group song, they're going, finally.
So I have to say something. In my opinion, one of the best albums from '87, and I was born in '87.
Oh, congratulations. Me too.
In my opinion, Time is one of the best albums of that year. I think '87 for me. I think I have to say this. It's for me, it's perfect album. I love this kind of songs like melodic. I prefer melodic songs than the hard songs, rock songs like the Michael McAuley as the Michael Schenker Band. I like Michael Schenker Band too at the beginning, but for me, in my opinion, the masterpiece it's when the '80s, like the Time album. For me, it's perfect. Yeah, that big hair, the heavy metal hair, the something like this, the melodic songs.
Well,
and, I think it's brilliant.
Well, thank you.
I want to ask you one more question about your solo career. It's a business as usual. I think that is a great album too. If it was released late years before, I think that it would be such a great success. What do you think? What was the process to make the album with Frank Sullivan too as a composer?
When Frankie and I were writing that record was written right before grunge and alternative, and so we had a mix of the record. We tried to get some interest from the record labels here in the US, and nobody was interested because now their ear was on the next sound, which was grunge music and alternative music. And so it took years for a Japanese label to release the record, and that's the only way you could get it was on import. And when I was approached by Frontiers to record a solo record, my immediate response was, I don't want to do a solo record because who would want to listen to a solo record from me? And they said, well, you release Business as Usual. And I said, my God, I recorded that in '94, and this is now 2020. And what's the point? And they said, well, think about it. We'd really like you to do it. So I ended up recording Standing on the Edge, which was my first solo. My first real solo, because Business as Usual was never meant to record. It was always meant to be a record with me and Frankie Sullivan. And then it didn't do anything. So when the Japanese label said, we want to put this out, I talked to Frankie, and Frankie goes, just put it out under your own name. And that's how that happened. So it was a kind of a solo record, but not really a solo record because, and only in Japan. So when Frontiers asked me to do a solo record for real, it was tough. I went, what do I do? What kind of material should it be as a solo record? So I decided I would talked to my old Grand Prix friends, other people that I had written songs with. Howard Leese is a dear friend, a player from Heart. I said, Howard, give me a song. And that's what I did. I kind of did a mixture of everything that I had done, put it on a solo record, and let it go. And it came out pretty good. But by the time Alive came around, I was more settled. And I went, okay, this is what I really want to do for Alive. And I think the Alive record is great. I think it's great. I love that.
Yeah, it's a great album.
I love that record. And I work also with a great guitar player from Sweden who co-wrote and produced Alice Cooper's Detroit Spaces, Tommy Denander. And recently I just recorded another song with Tommy for his Radioactive album, which is a song from Def Leppard producer Mutt Lange. So that's going to be really good. It's coming out very soon. So that's kind of how it happened. You know, I have a habit of saying, no, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And then I do it. I'm like a little boy, you know, I don't want to do it.
It's the same as the Grand Prix. Yeah?
Sorry?
It's the same as the Grand Prix.
Yeah.
You still continue to keep the band. I think that you can have a success in the American with Grand Prix.
We've written a lot of new songs in the last months. Phil Lanzon, the keyboard player, is now on tour with Uriah Heep. They're out with Judas Priest. So he's crazy busy. He knows I'm busy. I have songs that I have to finish, but I need to find the time for it. Could we be successful? Successful, probably not, but I think there's probably enough Grand Prix fans who would like to see something new. And I remember when we were discussing writing, the guys were going, why don't we take songs from the albums and remix them and put that out? And I went, I think that's cheating the fans. I think the fans want to hear where you are now. They don't need to hear what happened then. They know what happened then. Yeah. They need something fresh, something new. And I said, we have done so much work in this period of time. I think it's only fair for the fans that really want to hear Grand Prix again to give them some new Grand Prix and how we write today, not how we wrote in 1983, whatever it was. Yeah. So we will definitely keep working on creating a full album. And what we've done so far, I think, is really, really good. I'm very happy with it. The guys are happy with it. They're dying to get it moving, but we're everywhere. We're all over the place. And so, and they live in the UK. I don't live in the UK, but it's easy because I write here. It goes through the magic of the universal email, and bump, they have it at the same time I send it, you know. So it's all possible. It's nothing's easy, but possible. All possible. Yeah. You got to think positive. Yeah.
Yes. I think we have a little time for one question, but it's a little open question. It's about could you say for us what are the 3 best albums of all time for you?
Oh my God, that is very difficult. That's very difficult. Oh my God. My likeness for music is so diverse that I can listen to Led Zeppelin 4 today. I can listen to 404 today, and I can think it's the best record I've ever heard. And then tomorrow I might listen to I might listen to some traditional music from Austria, and I'm going, oh my God, I just love this kind of music. So it's too difficult for me. I think it's all great because I also love, I love the Sex Pistols. But if I tell somebody that that's my favorite album, they go, what is your problem? Right? And so that's how I move. I love some of the early punk music. I love some of the ska music, and I love stuff like Gypsy Kings. Yes. So it's whatever I'm listening to and gets my heart going is my favorite in the moment. And I listen to a lot of. My wife is from Austria.
And I think that's why your versatility is so big, because it reflects in your.
Music is so broad.
Yes.
There's so much music. I think it's too difficult for me to say I only will listen to this kind of music.
Yes.
That's not listening to music. You need to be. You need to explore. There's so much great music. Oh my God, so much great music. It's wonderful, and there's more music coming. It's just. It's amazing. If you only listen to one style of music, you're really, really missing out.
Yes.
So everything's my favorite.
Because I think that's the same happens with me when sometimes people ask me, what are your 3 favorite albums? Today I have to say my favorite album is Total album, and the second day I would say that, oh my God, that Gypsy King could be a big album, a Duran Duran, a hard different.
It's so broad. It's so broad because the 70s was a great period, and then you think this is the best period ever. Then you start listening to the 80s and you're going, oh my God, and then my God, 60s was the Beatles. Oh my God. So you're just jumping around. You're jumping around, and the reason you're jumping around is because it's all so great.
Yes.
It's great. And you forget a certain period of music, and then you hear it and you go, I should listen to this more. And then you spend a month only listening to that, and then you move on,
But Led Zeppelin 4 is one of them. Yeah?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes. And 404 is one of them. Yes. Yeah. But you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
It's perfect.
Sergeant Pepper, Yeah.
We already have a perfect timing here with the Robin McAuley.
Thank you guys so much. Sorry, a lot of talking, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having us, and sorry for the time.
I'm really looking forward to Brazil on May 11th.
Yes, you'll be there.
It's going to be great.
So I have to say thank you for accepting us to the invitation. So
thank you.
A very pleasure to see you here with us. So I hope you like it. Okay, and nice to meet you.
Thank you, guys. I'll see you soon.
I see you.
Bye bye. Bye bye.